Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on HD Pocket. Today we're going to be going over some of the best brand new decks to use in ranked in Pokemon TCG Pocket. Let's get into it. So, starting things off, we have an updated version of the Giratina and Darkrai deck. This is one of the most broken decks in the game right now. The usual suspects are, of course, Giratina, Druddigon, and Darkrai. But this brand new deck actually changes a little bit by kicking out the Druddigon core and adding in healing items and just going with the Darkrai and Giratina. And it's been working very, very well in competitive. It's got like a 55% win rate in tournaments. So it's a very, very useful deck to kind of utilize as of right now. So the deck list is as follows. So you're running 2 Giratina EX, 2 Darkrai EX, 2 Professor Researchers, 2 Leafs, 2 Pokemon Center Ladies. Again, don't know why they didn't just call it Nurse Joy in this. You're running 1 Red, 1 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Potions, 2 Giant Capes, and then 1 Rocky Helmet. So the Leaf is obviously very useful to kind of change between Giratina and Darkrai if need be. I assume the better way to do that is just obviously have Giratina in your front spot because it's got more HP, and then you've got Darkrai on the back row just dealing damage with the Dark Energy every single turn, and then you're just constantly healing Giratina with potions, Pokemon Center Ladies, and of course the Giant Cape. You can also run the Rocky Helmet as well, just so that the opposing Pokemon is taking more damage, 40 every turn as opposed to the 20 from just Darkrai's ability. And at the end of the day, very, very useful having Cyrus and Sabrina as well, because you can easily swap out different Pokemon and stuff from the bench onto the active spot and just kind of finish them off. Giratina is, I guess, your win con, being able to deal all of that damage in one go. And by the time that Giratina is going to use that attack, you'd like to think you've already done quite a bit of damage with Darkrai, so you can just one-shot things from there. So it's up to you, really. I still really like the Druddigon core. I still think it's very, very useful, and it's very difficult to break down. But this is just, I guess, a little bit quicker. You're getting them up a tiny bit quicker, I guess. You don't have to worry so much about, like, bricking. Maybe you're getting Druddigon and nothing else, so that would obviously be very, very bad. Doesn't happen very often at all, but with this setup, you're obviously guaranteed Darkrai or Giratina straight off the go. At the end of the day, though, it's your choice whether you want to run this deck or the Druddigon variant. Both do very, very well in tournaments, though. Coming up next, we have the Arceus EX deck. So this has also been doing very, very well in tournaments, over a 50% win rate. And it's not really something that strikes you as very competitively viable, but it does actually fare pretty well against a lot of the competitive decks. So the deck profile here is 2 Carnivine, 2 Arceus EX, 2 Rotom, 1 Shaymin Skyform, 2 Professor Research, 1 Cyrus, 1 Sabrina, 1 Pokemon Center Lady, 1 Dawn, 1 Red, 1 Mars, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Rocky Helmets, and then also a Giant Cape as well. So as I just said, these 3 Pokemon utilize Arceus for their abilities. So with Carnivine, you're able to do extra damage every single turn for 1 Grass Energy. For Rotom, you can obviously retreat for free, which is very useful. And then for Shaymin Skyform, you can basically retreat Arceus for 1 less. And you're just kind of dealing damage with Carnivine, setting up Arceus on your bench, and you're able to use the others for extra damage. Like you can come in with Rotom, deal 20 damage to like a bench Pokemon, and then maybe like get out of there next turn. Then of course you can use Cyrus to bring in a Pokemon that you just did damage to, and then knock it out with Arceus or something like that. But again, Carnivine being able to do that much damage from turn 1 is very, very useful. The only situation though that you need to find yourself in is that you have to have Arceus on your bench. Otherwise, you kind of break because you can't really do much more with a lot of these Pokemon. The Dawn is in there just so you can add energy to Arceus to finish something off. Very, very useful to have that. Red for even more damage. Nurse Joy's in there for healing. And then, of course, Rocky Helmet and your Giant Cape is just to give more HP to your Pokemon. And then Mars really is up to you. You can kind of run 2 Reds if you wanted to. You could run 2 Dawns, 2 Pokemon Center Ladies. This tournament deck has Mars instead, so that's just the build that I'm running right now. But that is another deck that's doing very, very well in tournaments right now. Doesn't seem like it will, but apparently it's been getting very, very good results. Next up, we have everybody's favorite one Pokemon deck. It is the Articuno. It is still doing very, very well in the competitive scene, still making people rage quit in tournaments, making people rage quit in ranked. It is the 2 Articuno deck with 2 Cyrus, 2 Professor Research, 2 Irida, 2 Misty, 1 Sabrina, 1 red, 2 Pokeballs, 2 potions, 1 red card, 2 Giant Cape, and then also 1 Rocky Helmet as well. Having the red card in the deck is always a bit of a gamble because you never really know if you're helping out your opponent or you're actually kind of making their hand worse. It's just one of those at the end of the day. I'm not a massive fan of running it because whenever I use it, I seemingly give the opponent the card that they're looking for. So if I was making this deck, I'd probably run 2 reds or 2 Rocky Helmets or something like that. Or maybe even a Nurse Joy just for extra healing on Articuno. But again, you've already got so much healing because of the potions and Irida. But again, that's another kind of route you could take with this deck. It's very, very simple, very self-explanatory. You just get Articuno out, and then you just build the energy up on it. If you get lucky and you start with a Misty in your hand as well, you can flip that, hopefully get a heads, hopefully get a couple of heads, and then that will obviously get your Articuno online even quicker. And then the rest of the trainer cards there are just for kind of basically building up that Articuno even more. So Irida for healing it, Potion for obviously healing it, Red for doing more damage, Rocky Helmet or Giant Cape. I prefer the Giant Cape because 160 HP is a lot better than 150 because a lot of Pokemon one-shot with 150. So having that 160 is very, very useful. And then you can just start shooting off Blizzards, dealing 80 damage to everything. The best thing about Blizzard as well is it does damage to your opponent's bench as well, so you can literally just Cyrus out anything and just one-shot that. So this is a really good deck. Again, really annoying to go up against, but if your coin flipping is lucky and you get Misty and you do flip a couple of heads, you can literally win a game in the first turn. So again, really, really good deck for competitive and for the ranked right now. Coming up next, we have another variation of the Giratina deck, but instead of running Darkrai, this time you're running 1 Mewtwo. So the deck profile goes as follows. So 2 Giratina EX, 1 Mewtwo EX, 2 Professor Research, 2 Red, 1 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus, 1 Pokemon Center Lady, 1 Mars, 1 Dawn, 1 Leaf, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Potions, 2 Giant Capes, and then 1 Rocky Helmet as well. So what you're doing here is you're getting Mewtwo online as quick as possible, and you're able to do that with Giratina's ability. So you can pop Giratina's ability to get an energy, and then obviously use an energy on Mewtwo anyway, and then the next turn you Dawn one of the Giratina energies onto Mewtwo, and then you can start dealing crazy damage straight off the bat. So it's very, very useful for that. And then, of course, the rest of the cards are there for healing and doing even more damage with Red, Cyrus, everything like that. For this deck build, I'm not sure why they're not running 2 Dawns, because that's the whole kind of point of this deck, is just to be dealing all that damage with Mewtwo. I guess you could also go the other way and have Mewtwo on your bench and then Dawn the energy onto Giratina, but I definitely prefer running the Mewtwo kind of in the active spot instead. So for me, I'd run 2 Dawn, but this deck profile doesn't have that, so maybe get rid of a Mars for a Dawn, something like that. But like I say, very, very self-explanatory. A little bit like the Articuno deck, but obviously you're utilizing Giratina's ability to get Mewtwo online even quicker, so you can start dealing that 150 damage, which a lot of Pokemon cannot survive unless they have a Giant Cape, which is also why you're running the Red, because then you're doing 170 damage if you're going up against an EX Pokemon, which in most situations you are. But yeah, I mean, the main purpose of this deck is just to get Mewtwo active as quick as possible, so you can start dealing 50 and 150 damage, which obviously will destroy a lot of Pokemon in the current meta. Finishing things off as one of the best Pokemon TCG Pocket decks to use right now in Ranked is an old deck, but it's starting to do very, very well once again. It is the Gyarados Deck. So for the deck build, you're running 2 Magikarp, 2 Gyarados EX, 2 Manaphy, 1 Origin Form Palkia, 2 Professor Research, 2 Misty, 2 Irida, 1 Sabrina, 1 Red, 2 Pokeballs, 1 Pokemon Communication, and then also 2 Rocky Helmet as well. So the whole point of this deck is to just get Gyarados online as quick as possible, usually with Manaphy, getting it in your active spot, and then popping that energy onto Magikarp, and then hopefully evolving it into Gyarados on the next turn, and then happy days, because 140 damage is very useful. It's also really nice as well because Gyarados' ability with its move can maybe take an energy off Giratina, and then it just shuts it down completely, because the only way to get Giratina energy usually is from its ability, and if they're not running Psychic Energy in their energy pool, then they'll have to end their turn to get that energy back onto Giratina. So it's very, very useful for that, for completely shutting down that Pokemon. And then also 140 damage is usually enough to one-shot most Pokemon, but you're running a red anyway to be dealing 160 just if they do have a Giant Cape. And you've also got the Origin Form Palkia in there as well, just because if you haven't got Gyarados online, you can potentially be doing 120 damage with the Origin Form Palkia. It's just obviously all down to RNG at the end of the day. But this deck has been doing very, very well against the current meta in tournaments right now and in ranked. Again, it's a little bit like the Gallade deck, which is also very, very good. I'm just trying to go over a couple of new ones. But yeah, it's very, very good for the current meta, and it's something that is surprising a lot of people, and it will catch a lot of people off guard. And even though Gyarados does take a lot of energy to set up, luckily you've got Manaphy in there to obviously be kind of granting you that energy, and then you've got Misty as well to hopefully get more. Maybe you might see some success running Dawn in this deck as well, just simply because it'll allow you to grab energy from whatever Manaphy gives it to you onto the Gyarados. But again, that's up to you how you build that deck. But either way, this is doing very well in ranked. Over a 50% win rate is obviously been recommended quite highly. But with that, though, it does wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like down below. Leave a comment. Where are you currently sitting in ranked? And also, are you enjoying ranked, or are you really not enjoying how difficult it is to get from Ultra Ball to Master Ball? But thank you for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, peace.